It is about that time. So we're gonna go ahead and get rolling up here. We're gonna get started with everybody. So thank you very, very much for coming out today. And so this is our monthly sales meeting that we do every Tuesday. Well, not every Tuesday, sorry. Second Tuesday of every month, we kind of get together and go over what's happening with the market, all the things coming and going, that kind of stuff. And that's kind of where we're gonna jump off today. So my name's Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker here. And we want to kind of jump right into like hot news. And our hot news is interest rates are dropping. So now is this good news or is this great news? I don't know which one you want. It's really, really good, right? Like we are very, very excited to see that the rates are coming down. Now, why are they coming down? Because unemployment went up. I know that sounds jacked up. Seems like that would be an oxymoron. But see, the Fed wants to see that the economy is not running away like a out of control freight train. So they feel like the economy has been too good. And so when the news that unemployment went up, inflation started to come down. We even had some markets like the market in Japan went absolutely haywire, that kind of stuff, which threw a lot of our markets off. But all that causes the 10-year treasury to drop and see 30-year interest rates, 30-year mortgages follow the 10-year treasury almost line by line. So as weird as it sounds, when news of weaker job growth and rising unemployment helped interest rates. But that's not the only thing we have going on in interest rates. So right now, we are showing at a 6.4, which is way better than, y'all remember eights. It wasn't that long ago we were in the eights, right? So we're moving forward, but we're also looking at a much better forecast on what's going on with rates. We're not looking at them just turning around and just like jumping right back up. The other thing was, I was even just talking to Sharon today, and so like just this past week, she's quoted a 5.87, 5.9, a 6.1. So we are seeing where interest rates are suddenly becoming our friend. And that's a very important thing for us to make sure that we recognize, because one thing that worries me, especially during a political time, is what's generally overall for most Americans, what's our mood during election time? I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, doesn't matter. But do we tend to kind of get pessimistic around election time anyway?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of the nature. Most of us really dislike going through the whole election period, that kind of stuff. It's not normally, and this is not a political thing. I'm not pro or con any one party either way. But overall, a lot of Americans kind of get down during this time. And is this something that we need to be talking about in a very positive manner, talking about what good news this is, because this saves our clients a lot of money. This changes the affordability for a lot of people. See, right now, when based on just our rates, what's happening is we're seeing where more and more buyers are able to buy right now. But if you don't feel like it, and we are not the ones shouting about this and talking about this, then our client's going to miss out on this opportunity, because it's now a good time to buy. Well, I don't want you to be that person that's like, it's always a good time to buy, it's always a good time to sell. But we are, and I'll show you the data here. We have rising inventories and we have lowering interest rates. That's a good time for folks to be looking to buy right now. And also we're seeing more and more demand in the market as rates come down. So please I also don't want us to get wrapped up in the political times. Because a lot of times we can feel that way as well and be like, there's no point, everything's terrible, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure we're doing that. National Commonwealthers need rates under 6. What did I just tell you that our rates we're doing already? We have some rates under 6 already, right now. And that takes up half of your potential buyers are looking to buy it under 6. So it's now a good time to really be talking about this. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, go work with me a little bit here. Just give me a little bit. So now, even moving forward, Goldman is expecting a 25%, 25 pip rate cut in September. November and December. By the way, the Fed is going to meet on every one of those months. And so they're kind of working in that we may even see a higher rate drop moving forward. See, on top of where the rates are right now, we are in election time, but we're also, the Fed meets, they're going to be, and like inflation data comes out this Wednesday, that kind of stuff. And it looks like they're going to be doing at least one, but maybe 3 more rate cuts. And when they cut the federal funds rate, it doesn't work directly, but it does influence overall mortgage rates. So as we move through the fall and into winter, what do you think is going to be happening with interest rates? We are looking at interest rates continuing to trend downwards, right? And this is really, really good news. Does that mean that our buyers should wait?
No.
I mean, is that your recommendation? I mean, because some buyers are like, well, I'm just going to wait for the rates to drop. Is that a good idea? Well, what happens when rates drop to demand? Pricing and demand is going to go up, right? So if you choose to I'm going to wait till rates hit this point, and then everybody else does too. Now all of a sudden everybody's in the market. Now you're missing out on deals and opportunities that you would have had. So we are looking at rates continuing to move ahead or to move lower as we go through this year. And I don't have a crystal ball, but all the economic data really does point to the fact that we are looking at interest rates continuing to moderate, especially into this year and into 2025. However, one of the things I want to make sure that I do kind of touch on and kind of cover. Are interest rates going back to 3s? Are interest rates going to 4? No. Those 3s and 4s, those were artificially generated, right? The Fed was buying a lot of mortgage-backed securities. They were holding inflation rates at 0. I mean, interest rates at 0. I mean, we had a lot of stuff going on, but all that was artificially created. Is that where we're at right now? And are they going to artificially create that environment again? No, they aren't, because they're actually trying to slow the economy down a little bit to keep inflation in control. So for those folks who well, I'm going to buy when rates hit 4, then you're never going to buy. I don't want to be mean, but I don't think we're going to see 4s again. I know we're not going to see 3s again, probably not in my life. And we just want to be honest and be real about that. A year or 2 ago, folks would have been like, no way, interest rates are going to stay here for forever. When rates are at 8, and historically, kind of if you just averaged out what are interest rates for the last 30, 40 years, where do you think that number comes in? In the 7s. Yeah, it's in the 7s. So you gotta understand that, right now, rates being in the low 6s, high 5s, that's a really, really good place for us to be. We need to be able to talk, intelligently with our clients about what's going on there. And I'm very, very excited about that news. And so this should be something that we are all talking about a lot, is what's going on, rates, that kind of stuff. So, all right. We need to talk about the NAR settlement. When does the NAR settlement go into effect?
17.
Yeah, the end of this week. But some things are already kicking off right now. And, there's a lot of people that are super wound up about the whole settlement. But really it comes down to there's 3 major big things that's come out of the settlement and how it's going to impact us here in the real estate in Georgia. So first of all, we must have a written agreement for showing any property. Is that going to be a change for us? For a lot of us, no. For some of us, for those of us that have been a door opener, this is going to be a change, right? If all you were doing was just opening the door before. So no realtor-owned MLSs will be able to share any offers of compensation. Is that going to be a change? Yeah, absolutely. And all our brokerage agreements must contain a statement that commissions are negotiable, not set by law. So those are the biggies that we have moving forward. So now FMLS said, listen, we are not NAR owned. We are not realtor influenced. FMLS basically says, we don't care. We're going to keep doing what we want to do. And so FMLS is changing, they're introducing what's called concession fields. So you will be able to see if someone is offering compensation in FMLS. You will be able to offer compensation if you so choose to for your listings when you input that into FMLS, if that's what you choose to do. Does that make sense? Their entire point is, basically their premise is, Ming and I, we went to a meeting this past week with both Georgia MLS and FMLS. And FMLS's main premise is we believe that transparency is good. And I tend to agree. The more transparent that we can have, the better off we are. Now, Georgia MLS, in contrast, Georgia MLS is a realtor-owned MLS. And so they have opted in to the settlement agreement. As such, they must hold to the terms of the settlement agreement. So there are some changes actually hit today. So if you looked at listings yesterday in Georgia MLS and you look at them today, they will not look the same. Because there's, there's going to be some changes moving forward. So on the listing agreements kind of thing. The first, I guess, there's not really a change on the listing agreements. Unless your listing agreements specifically say that your listing will be marketed, the co-op will be marketed in the MLS. Now, none of our listing agreements state that specifically. And so what that basically means is you don't have to rewrite your listing agreements right now. However, if you did have compensation in Georgia MLS yesterday, you don't have it today. There's no more offers of compensation in there. On the buyer side, you must have written buyer agreements prior to touring or showing or working with a client. So, whether you're using the GAR forms or the RE forms, you must have a written agreement prior to showing any kind of property. All property types are included in that. So what they're saying is you would have to have one either for touring, showing houses, or if you're actually working with them as a client, that's required in advance. Is that good or bad?
It's good.
I personally think it's really good news. Like if I just meet somebody at the door, are they really my client? How about I sit down with them and I go through the whole process beforehand? And now we're working together, going and looking at multiple properties. Is that my client? Yeah, it is. So how about open houses? Are we able to show open houses without a written agreement? Yes, because you're doing so on behalf of the seller. Now, there is a caveat, and we're going to get to that, but you do not have, on open houses, you can show the property. And the main premise here is that we don't want to stand in the middle of the doorway and be like, sorry, can't see this house unless you fill out this paper. Is that a great way to build a relationship? No. And so that's what they're kind of making us not do, right? So, is Georgia MLS requiring that we submit our buyer brokerage agreement prior to showing? No, but they reserve the right that if somebody rats you out and you can't produce that, then they're going to revoke your MLS privilege. Now this goes whether you're a realtor or whether you're a realty, because these are the MLS rules. These are not about being a realtor. Now, that being said, all these changes happening in the MLS, is that changing Greg's stance on anything? Greg has made no changes whatsoever. This is not a Greg issue. This is dealing with the MLS and dealing with the MLSs, right? Now, when it comes to compensation, you can still offer compensation through FMLS, but in Georgia MLS, all written offers of compensation are prohibited, right? You can't post a link, you can't post a flyer, that kind of stuff. You can do it on your own, but inside the Georgia MLS platform, you can't do it in showing time, you can't do it in offer manager. There is no offers of compensation. You can't upload F-255, instructions to closing attorney. You can't offer, you can't put anything in there at all. You can't take a picture of you going like this and put it into the comments. Like they're checking everything. And the whole thing is they're trying to stay compliant in everything. So there are no concession fields at all in George MLS. So is that good or bad? It's a different, look, it's a different way of doing business, but everybody's on the same bit. We're across the board on this playing field right now. So you can be like, I think that's jacked up. Well, suck it up, Buttercup. This is where we're at right now. See, we have all these kind of disruptions to our industry for forever. And we're always having to adjust, pivot, change how we're doing business. Now, one of our other big challenges we have right now, we have several brokerages that have come out and said they are not offering any buyer's co-op. Zero buyer's co-op being offered. What's that mean to you? Now, it doesn't mean that their sellers won't pay a co-op. It means none is being offered. So EXP, Real, like several of the other brokerages who got sued on the big NAR lawsuits kind of thing, are all coming out from a position of, we are not going to offer any buyer's co-op up front. So if you deal with these, so if you go and show somebody's property, they're not going to advertise that co-op anywhere. Even if they have access to FMLS, they're not going to put it in there. Right? They're not going to also, if you call them in advance and say, hey, I want to show your house, is the seller offering any co-op? I can't tell you. Or no, it's going to be your answer. They're not going to share F-255 offers of instructions to closing attorney. They're not going to share that up there. They're not going to fill out F-258, which is the pre-showing compensation form. They're not going to do any of that. What's that mean for us moving forward? No, that means that we are negotiating commission as part of the contract now. Right? That's the reality that we have to get to. Now GAR and GAR forms, they didn't really want that we were having to negotiate our commission as part of the contract. But this is another one of those things that, like, GAR forms, we updated the GAR forms several months ago. It came out on July 1st. Well, they had to be done months ahead of that, and just to have them come out at that time. And originally they didn't want that we were necessarily negotiating our compensation as part of our purchase and sale. Now that's just the reality. This is where we're at now. All your offers moving forward, you are going to be negotiating compensation as part of your purchase and sale. Do we like it? No. Is it the way that business is going to be moving forward? Yes. Right? Now, if you don't do this, what may you be doing? We may be working for free. So that's not really a really viable option for professionals. Like, we work really hard at what we need to do. We need to be paid. So you have two choices here. You're either going to use F-259, which is our broker's compensation agreement, or you're going to use Special SIP 620. They both basically say the same thing. The Special SIP, buyer requests seller to pay buyer broker's compensation, this amount, and then that's going to be in your Special SIPs. There are two schools of thought about which one you want to do. I personally like the Special SIP because it's included in the contract and is very transparent. Everybody knows right up front. Some folks do like using F-259. They feel it is safer because you are going and getting that agreement agreed to by the seller. However, if you're a new agent, this is my worry, right? If I include a purchase and sale and I send over F-259 and the seller signs the purchase and sale, but doesn't sign to F-259, which I can't seem to spit out, what happens then? It's a counter offer. And if you buy that, what have you just agreed to? Yeah, so I'm not saying that it's bad by any means. I'm just saying you have to be very careful on when you protect yourself. What we're really recommending is make sure that on all your purchase and sales, we really like having the clarity, the transparency that goes with having it included in there. Now you can do it as a separate under F-259, but whether you're a listing agent or buyer's agent, are you going to be using and seeing used Special SIPs and Special SIP 620 and F-259 in every single contract moving forward? Yes or yes? Yeah, just accept that that's how it's going to be. right? So I want to make sure that we're really clear about that. So buyer's agents. How are you going to get your buyer brokerage agreement signed prior to showing properties? Have you thought about this? Because this is one of those things that it's a little bit of a fundamental change, right? In the past, it's just like, hey, I'll meet you at the house. Is that what you want to do now? It's not, like, are you going to meet them at the house and be like, I wish I could open this door, but you haven't signed this piece of paper yet? Is that a great way to be? No. So what we have to do is it's time to treat our buyers like we have sellers. If I was going to go on a listing appointment, what would I mean? I'm setting an appointment. I'm going to go and I'm going to meet with you. We're going to talk about real estate. I'm going to talk about all the things I'm going to do to help you sell your home for the most money, the shortest amount of time possible. We're going to go through comps. We're going to walk through the whole 9 yards together. And at the end of it, we're going to sign an agreement, right? See, in the past, with our buyers, it'd just be like, hey, let's go look at the house. We want to write an offer. Then a lot of us would just sign a buyer brokerage agreement at that point. But if you don't do that up front, you have the ability to negotiate for your commission on behalf of your buyer. No, you don't. You can't ever negotiate for your commission outside of your buyer. You're negotiating on the behalf of your buyer. But I can't negotiate on your behalf if you're not my client. If we don't have a client relationship, I can't negotiate on your behalf. So please don't think that this doesn't apply to you. Right? I don't know what the future is going to hold as far as litigation, that kind of stuff. But are we a sue happy bunch of folks in America? Yep. So I don't know how that's going to go. I'm not trying to threaten anybody. I am trying to say, look, you are professionals at your trade. This is going across the board for everybody. We need to make sure that we are operating within the rules. If you want to go out and be like, you know what, I'm not going to make you sign a buyer brokerage agreement, and everybody else is. What's that client think about? Like, are you going to be able to? Are you going to do what you say the rest of the time? Are you going to follow the rules later on too? Or are you just going to? I'm only going to break this one rule. That makes sense? Because I'm hearing a lot of people who are like, I'm just not going to do it. That sends a crappy message to your client. Like, you know what? I don't really follow the rules, but trust me, I'm going to take care of you. I think you need to be very careful about that. Now, does anything in the NAR settlement require you to reduce your commission, cut your commission, work for less than you're worth? No. So please don't do that either, right? You must discuss compensation prior to showing a property. So you're going to have to, this is new scripts that we have to be comfortable with. This is a new conversation that we have to be able to go over with our client. Please consider and use our home buyers guide. If you have one, use yours. If you don't, use ours. It's in Paperless Pipeline. It's there for you to be able to use, right? Can you also do a short-term agreement? Can I do an agreement for a day, a week, 2 weeks? Can I do an agreement just on one property? Yes. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that that may be, but you know, like it's one of those things where we want to stay compliant, but there's sometimes that we don't have a relationship with our client yet. And if we don't have a relationship with our client, we may have to do a shortened time frame or a specific one just to kind of prove that we're here to help, that we're not just here to take. So be ready for that. If you do open houses kind of thing, we can show the open house on behalf of the seller because we wouldn't be there without the selling, right? However, if I'm doing an open house for you and your seller's not offering any co-op, do I really want to do that open house? That's a conversation you need to have with that listing agent to say, I'm glad to do an open house. Are you guys offering a buyer's agent co-op? If so, how much? So like, it's going to be hard for some of those folks in some of the brokerages that they're not doing that. And if your seller is not offering any co-op, expect that you're probably not going to be getting folks doing the open house. At least not for you. Does that make sense? All right. So now if you are doing open houses, and if the buyer wishes to work with you, if they want to see other houses, if they want to place an offer on that open house, then you will have to get a buyer brokerage agreement signed immediately at that point. Because at that point, they are your client. You are working with them. You are touring houses, that kind of stuff. And then purchase and sale documents are either going to include Special SIP 620 or F259. just accept that that's gonna be the reality moving forward for buyer's agents. Everybody with me?
So F-255 goes away.
It's not gonna go away, but we have, we have a lot of brokerages that won't do it every single time. So it's really hard to say, hey, will some sellers and some listing agents still offer to share F-255 with you? Sure, they will. Will everyone? No. I know that if I use F-259 or I use Special SIP 620, that's gonna be the best overall across the board because that's gonna go into effect. If you're trying to deal with a listing agent that works for one of these brokerages where they cannot share any offers of compensation, then F-255 is not gonna do any good. F-258, pre-showing, they're not gonna agree to anything in advance. Does that make sense? So again, consider using our buyer's guide if you don't have them. They're set up for there. The thing that's big about here is it has a place in here that's gonna help you have these conversations with your clients. These are the services I provide. These are the fees I charge. Who can pay that commission? Right? Because is the buyer responsible for paying that commission? No, but like the buyer is saying, yep, I'm gonna make sure, and you can't get paid more than you agree to in here. You can't agree that I'm gonna represent you for 2.5, and then seller's offering 3 and think you're gonna get 3, you're getting 2.5. If that's your agreement with them. I'm not saying you can't amend the brokerage agreement, you can do that, but the whole idea here is that we have to be ready to have these conversations. So yes, I may be agreeing that you're gonna get that 2.5%, 3%, whatever it may be. There's no set amounts. You can do it for 4 bananas, I don't care. But at the end of the day, is the buyer the only one who has to pay? Who can fund that? The seller could fund it. We could increase the purchase price. It could be part of closing costs. Maybe the seller will pay. It just kind of depends on the situation. So, but we need to be able to have that conversation. What this gives you is it gives you a script on how to have this conversation, be able to talk this about. These are new conversations that if you're not comfortable having these, please practice on your spouse, the dog, friends, mentors, all that kind of stuff, because these just like we're having to have these conversations now.
So, question, because I misunderstood it. If I've agreed to, and my buyer's agreed, 3% of the purchase price, but there's another line in there where I can say that I can do as much as 10%. Which line that is, up to 10%. So if a seller were to advertise in FMLS that they're paying 3.5%, you're saying the most that I can ask, I can
All right,
get compensated for?
So what, and just so everyone also can hear and understand, if you agree in your buyer brokerage agreement, if you agree to 3%, and that's all you agree to, no bonuses, no nothing, but like just a straight 3%, then, and that seller is offering 3.5, the most you can get is 3%.
But if I have the other item there where I.
But if you say, I can accept bonuses and amounts up to this amount, it just has to be specific. You can't say plus any bonuses kind of thing. You must have a specific amount or percentage.
Right.
It just can't be open-ended, that kind of thing.
Right.
Now, we also have the ability to go in and amend our brokerage agreement. We could get our buyer to agree, all right, well, you're gonna be able to get 3.5 now.
Okay.
Okay.
But with that, I understood from another class that having that other item there, I think we give something like 10% up to that amount. That covered.
You can put that in there just as long as it's specific.
Right, it's specific. If I have
Okay.
it in there
Yep.
specifically, then when I see that seller's offering. a
If
higher
there is an
compensation-
additional amount in there, and if you have that in there, then yes, you are covered on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to make
Yeah.
sure.
All right, let's talk about on the listing side now, because we just talked about the buyer side. So again, nothing in here requires you as a listing agent to cut your commission. Like, we work really, really hard for ourselves. Please make sure that you stand up for what you're worth. However, our new conversation here is, are you going to recommend that a seller offers buyer's agent compensation? Well, we have to be ready to have that conversation. Like in the past, it was kind of, in Georgia, it was never required, right? I don't ever remember it being required, but was it kind of expected? Yeah, yeah. And is that always the case now? No. So now we have to make sure, and I get it, as a seller, if I don't have to pay that, do I want to? No, I don't want to, but I don't have to. However, we need to make sure that we're clearly explaining, listen, our most offer is going to have it anyway. So do you need a budget for it? Yes, yes. Would I want to do a net to seller, which didn't have a buyer's agent co-op included in that? No, because that's not real. It's not true, right? Our buyers at this point, I mean, we just talked about all the buyers have to have an agreement in advance, right? So the buyers are contractually bound to their buyer's agent at this point, and they've already agreed to pay that fee. Do a lot of them have the money to pay that fee out of pocket? So do you want that buyer not to consider your home? Because you're expecting them that they have to go through all their inspections, the moving, all this other kind of stuff, and now they have to come out of pocket up front for their agent's compensation up front, because they can't even see your house without having an agreement, right? So our buyers need to finance in the compensation. For if you don't offer the compensation, a lot of the buyers just simply can't afford it. Is this going to be steering? No, we're not steering our clients. Our clients have, this is an affordability issue for them. And so unrepresented buyers. Anybody worked with unrepresented buyers before? They don't close. It's a bunch of wishes and good intentions kind of thing. You get unrepresented buyers that you don't know if they've been pre-approved or if they're really approved and they could buy a home. They just, most of the time they're coming like, will the seller finance, that kind of stuff? Again, consider using our home seller's guide. Home seller's guide is there for us. If you are not going to recommend a buyer's agent compensation as a listing agent, what are you going to do when you get an unrepresented buyer? Are you going to represent that buyer for free? Well, but see these are new conversations, and we had to have this conversation in the past. No, we need to have this conversation now, because if not, now you're going to be expected. Does that seller expect that, you know what, I'm going to represent you in this transaction and I'm going to do the buyer for free, no charge? That's no more work on you at all, is it? I mean, you can represent the seller as a client, you can represent the buyer as a customer, but that comes with risk. That comes with a lot more work. Are you prepared to do that for free? If not, then you need to talk about this. See, again, these are new conversations that we're having with our sellers, because the sellers just watch the headlines, and headlines say, you don't have to offer a buyer's co-op anymore. A lot of these other brokerages are saying, you don't even need to, we're not going to advertise anything. Please don't set your sellers up to fail. Right? I mean, this is one of those things that I think really will help us stand out, because we can still offer compensation. And then as a listing agent, are you going to communicate your offers of compensation? Like, are you going to advertise that your listings? Because we are all about transparency, and you are all independent contractors. You own your own companies. You get to decide, am I going to offer compensation? I mean, am I going to communicate that compensation that you just had that conversation with your seller about? And if so, how? Right? How are you going to do it? So again, look at, this is your seller's guide. Please steal it if you don't have one, that kind of stuff in here. You definitely want to be able to have that conversation about compensation. These are the services I provide. These are the fees I charge. Do I have to pay a buyer's agent? Well, how about if you don't offer compensation, and if you do? We have to be ready for that conversation. Please, this just helps you walk through that script. Is everybody with me? So, in Georgia MLS, you cannot upload instructions to closing attorney. You You can't use offer manager. You can't upload a flyer with offers of compensation. You can't put anything in public remarks. You can't put anything in private remarks. No data fields will have it listed anymore. You can't go in and put 3 pineapples means 3% and 2 oranges. You can't do fruit, icons, none of that kind of stuff. You can't use the lockbox because the lockbox is provided as a benefit of the MLS. So you can't open the lockbox and put in a 3%. At least that's what they're telling us, right? Now they are permitting off MLS offers. So signs, personal websites, as long as your broker allows, which we do, flyers, again, they just told us yesterday that not inside the lockbox anymore. On the yard side, social media, answering your phone, right? There's a novel idea. We should actually be answering our phone kind of thing. Now in FMLS, we are going to be able to make offers of compensation in the FMLS platform. And both of them are going to make sure that we are required to have buyer agreements in advance. That makes sense. We understand. You've got to think your way through this now because business is changing. It's not bad. It's not the end of the world. It's just changing. So how are you going to adapt? Are you going to offer compensation? Where are you going to do it? Are you going to have these conversations with your buyers? Are you going to have these conversations with your sellers? You're going to have them whether you're ready for them or not. So get ready is what I'm telling you. We should, a lot of us are already having, like regardless of the NAR changes, are we already having these conversations with our buyers and sellers right this minute?
Yeah.
It's been in the news already. So just understand we have to be ready for that because change is coming.
So you can put this in a flyer box at your sign.
You can put this on a flyer box, you can put this on your sign, you can put that on, you can put a flyer inside your listing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just can't be attached to.
There can't be anything included with it as attached to the MLS. Except for FMLS that business as usual, we don't care. So, but some agents are heavy in the Georgia MLS, some are heavy in the FMLS. You just have to think through this. How am I going to communicate offers of compensation?
Where would you put the flyer in the listing?
This time I put it on the counter in the kitchen, or I think, it's strange that flyer boxes are back all of a sudden. The ones that stayed out next to the sign
Physically at the listing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, physically at the listing. Yeah. All right. Y'all remember Y2K? I may be dating myself a little bit here. Now, Mark, I know you were born, okay? I'm just saying. See now, our millennials may not remember that much. Right? Do you remember Y2K? All right, for us old folks, who remembers Y2K? Y'all remember what's gonna happen? What was gonna happen with Y2K? Oh my gosh, 1999, 2000, nothing was gonna work. The computers were all gonna shut down. You couldn't, you wouldn't, airplanes crashing out of the sky, dogs and cats living together. It was just gonna be pandemonium, right? Stuff was everywhere. Y2K was gonna be the end of our existence. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Right. Y'all remember how much hype there was around that? I mean, like you couldn't turn on the news. You couldn't see any. I mean, like leading up to that, man, it was a huge deal. Then y'all remember New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
Everyone's all wound up, right? And then it click, and what happened?
Okay.
Fat load of nothing. Right? So you gotta remember, a lot of times, the more something gets attention, the less likely it may actually be to occur. It's the mundane, the boring, those kind of things are the things that are most likely to happen. But all the headlines, all the hype, and we have a lot of hype and headlines in the real estate world. Yeah. How about all the stuff we see in technology? Remember iBuyers coming in? Open Door, OfferPad, gonna change the way we do real estate. We're not gonna need agents anymore. Zillow. With Zillow, do you need an agent anymore with Zillow? Blockchain, AI. How about right now? AI. Everyone's talking AI in real estate. AI in real estate. You need an agent with AI? How about lawsuits? All these things are gathering a lot of our attention, aren't they? How likely are they to really change our entire world? See, that's what I want you to really understand, because All these things are really, really exciting. All those things are stuff that the news jumps on, lots of things going on. But what's mostly likely to happen? Most likely to happen? The average, normal, mundane, boring stuff that is the basics of our business. Right? So this is not a good headline. Are y'all with me? Things are generally staying the same. Is that going to be the headline that we see going forward in the real estate world? Is that probably what's going to happen? Right? How about what's most likely? So consumers will most likely continue to work with real estate agents, right? What have you noticed about the trend? But by the way, this is percentage of people that work with a real estate profession. What have you noticed since 1981, for the last 40 years?
Single piece.
Has it gone up? Does that mean that all of a sudden now our industry is going to completely change? People aren't going to trust us anymore. People aren't going to see a need for us. Was there any disruption going on during that time when the importance of real estate agents? How about this? During that same time frame, look when Zillow jumped into the scene. How about Redfin, Open Door? Were those three big disruptors that we saw in our marketplace that everyone was all wound up? Like, you know what? And change how we do business. Change how we do business. Not going to need real estate agents anymore. What do you notice? A lot of hype, a lot of attention, very little impact. Matter of fact, negative impact from their point of view, right? Open Door was supposed to like change, you know, like you don't need agents anymore. Do you need agents? Yeah, even more so, right? So, how about our new listings? What's going on with new listings? New listings are up, right? New listings are up. So listings in Georgia MLS are up 17%. In FMLS, new listings are up 16%. Is this good for us or bad for us? Like y'all remember summer 2021, everyone was fighting over houses. We had open houses with 50 people in it, that kind of stuff. We have rising inventory right now, and we have lower interest rates. Is this good? Yes, yes. No, what's like these are the basics of our industry here. New listings nationally. Hey, we're coming up. New listing. We're still not where we have been, and we're not where we need to be. You know, how about total active listings? Total active listings, we have 35% more listings on the market right now than we did a year ago. In Georgia MLS, we have 50% more listings in FMLS than we had a year ago. Is that good or bad for your buyers? That's good. That's really, really good for us. Days on market. Days on market are increasing. But are they terrible? Again, I want you to know what's going on in our marketplace. But like, is 42 days unrealistic? Are we higher than we were last year? Yes. But we went from 39 to 42, you know, 29 to 33 days on market in FMLS. So are we seeing more inventory? Is that affecting us in other ways? Absolutely. How about months of standing inventory? We're at 3.8 months of standing inventory in FMLS and 3.9 months of standing inventory in Georgia MLS. How many months of inventory do we need to have a balanced market where the number of buyers and sellers match up? 6 months. So is it getting better? Are we moving towards a balanced market? Yes. Are we there? No. But it also depends on price. Like we're seeing a lot more inventory on the high end and not as many buyers. So some of our high end stuff is actually more of a buyer's market at this point. At the same time, over a third of our listings are under contract within 2 weeks, but we have more listings with price drops than we've ever had before. What's that tell you? Look, affordability is a big, big deal. Is anybody going to pay more than they have to in this market? And so for the sellers who say, you know what, we're going to try this price. We're going to try this, we're going to try that. What ends up happening to them? Yeah. What happens when they try, you know, we're not gonna offer any buyers co-op? I mean, right now, we have, I mean, like, think about this, how that's really gonna impact you. You wanna be able to talk to our sellers, right? I don't wanna offer a buyer's co-op. All right, well, right now, inventory's up 50% in FMLS, 35% in Georgia MLS. We're competing against a lot more listings, and we're not gonna offer any kind of, we're not gonna make any offers of compensation. We're not gonna be prepared to do that. What's that gonna do to your clients? Or how hard does that make it for you to sell that home? Right, and then who are they gonna blame? You, right? So again, I want you to see what's really going on in the marketplace. I want you to realize what's happening. And so if you are listing your home right now and you know that inventory is up, interest rates are coming down, and you're competing with a lot more, do you really, I mean, I've heard agents say, I'm not gonna recommend that they pay a compensation. Are you gonna do that? I'm not, because I think it's dumb. I think it hurts my client. And so we just, again, but it's not, this is not about me telling you, I want you to see the number. Does that make sense? So, now that being said, what's happening with pricing? Well, it says so, it's moderating. Now, are we in negative property value appreciation range? No. Is it growing like it was post-COVID? No, thank goodness, too. We can't maintain double-digit property value appreciation. We can't. And so whether you look at Case-Shiller, CoreLogic, FHA, home prices are growing at a normal rate, AKA boring. Is this gonna make any headlines? Hey, properties are still kind of appreciating. Is that a great headline? No, but is that what we're looking at? Look, we're into the day of normal, right? This is what's most likely gonna happen, right? Homes are gonna continue to appreciate because we still don't have enough inventory. So overall, here in Georgia, property values are up 4.2% in Georgia MLS and 2% in FMLS. Is that normal? Yes. Is that a great place for us to be? Yes. Is it exciting? No. Thank goodness. I would not want to have exciting property value appreciation, right? It is exciting, but also it knocks a lot of people out of the market, right? So how about moving forward? Over the last 50 years, property overall real estate, residential real estate in the US has appreciated at 4.4% a year. We're looking at, if you just average in Fannie Mae, Mortgage Bankers Association, NAR, all that, what they're looking at value appreciation for the year, they're looking at ending 2024 at 3.2%. What's that mean? Look, still seeing property appreciation. There are some places in the US that won't see it, but just very steady, consistent, boring growth. Is that a good place for us to be? Is it also good for your buyers? Because many of our buyers want to buy an asset that they think is worth less today than it was yesterday. I mean, like nobody wants to buy a house and be, oh, well, I'll see how much it's worth next week. Nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to see it. But this kind of value appreciation makes a lot of sense. How about 2025? 2.7%. Not quite as robust, but still in the positive side of property value appreciation. Is that good for our buyers as well as our sellers? Yes, our sellers, though, have to get away from this idea. Like over the last 3 years, we had 50% property value appreciation in Georgia. Is it realistic to think that the next 3 years my home's going to be worth an additional 50%? No, it's going to be in that 3 to 4%, right? I mean, those are national numbers. So like a lot of our sellers have kind of gotten this idea that, you know, I own a home a couple of years, man, I make a lot of money. It's not normal, right? 4.4% is normal property value appreciation for the last 50 years. And we're heading back into that normal average range. Y'all with me? All right. So existing home sales, we saw a tick down last month, but we still had some really high interest rates. However, our pending sales, and so it's reflected on our pending sales, both in Georgia MLS and FMLS, we're down 11 and 9% on pending sales. However, closed sales are up 8% in Georgia MLS, almost 4.5 in FMLS. So are we still selling a lot of houses? Right, I mean, in the US, we're still selling 4.1 million homes, slightly up over last year, just a little bit up over last year. Is that terrible? I mean, it's not great by any means. However, you realize that's $90 billion in commissions. With a B. Right? Are people still buying and selling homes? So there's still a lot of positive things going on. Yes. Again, this is just the normal. This is the average. This is the mundane. Right? Everyone wants to get all wrapped up in the lawsuit and all this stuff going on. What's really important? Just the basics. Just keeping it real, right? Over the next 2 years, 7 million new babies are going to be born. 3 million marriages, unfortunately, half of them ended divorce. Not my statistic, okay? Don't hate me just because I'm delivering it. 7 million people are going to turn 65 years old. We're going to have 4 million people die, 4 million new jobs, 50 million job switches. Now, when these things happen, what do people do? Move. And when they move, what do they want to do? Buy and sell homes. Right? Is this the exciting part? No, this is the mundane. This is the normal. This is the business that we have. Right? This is going to stay consistent. So, how about on the investor side? 60% of single family landlords say they'll likely buy at least one investment property over the next 12 months. And 40% of single family landlords say they're likely to sell at least one investment. I mean, about 100% of your small independent investors are likely to do what? Buy and sell a property. Would I be talking to other investors that own property right now? Yeah, because 60% of them are going to want to buy another one in the next year, and 40% are going to want to sell something they have. Again, super exciting? No. Important? Absolutely. Right? I've been talking to a lot of lenders. And do you know how many pre-approvals that we have with clients right now? Like I called Sharon and I'm like, Sharon, how many pre-approvals do you have just for maximum one agents? How many pre-approvals do you think she has? 44. We have 44 buyers who are pre-approved right now. So I called Jackson, I called 4 or 5 other lenders. They've all got 10, 20, 30 clients with pre-approved mortgages, ready to go. What are we waiting on? Right? And I hate to be that guy who's like putting, I know I try and be the guy who pats on the back, and sometimes you need to look about 12 inches lower, right? Like I don't want you getting wrapped up with all the stuff happening in the news, all this other kind of stuff. We have a lot of clients that are pre-approved, ready to go right now. And guess what? If they got pre-approved at those other rates, what's happening to their rates right now? What happened to their payment right now? It's great right now, right? Because if they got pre-approved previously, like they're going to be saving $200 to $400 a month with lower rates. Is that a great thing to be able to talk to your buyers about? Yeah. Absolutely. So if you have a pre-approved buyer, what should you be doing? Look, we ought to be looking at houses today, right? We really do, because if interest rates keep coming down the way we're talking about coming down, what's happening to inventory and what's happening to pricing? Wow. Inventory is going to get tighter, pricing is going to go up. Now's the right time to really be jumping out there with your clients on there. So standing still isn't an option. That's the deal. We have to be ready to jump out here. Yes, there's a lot of things happening in our news. Is that what we need to be focused on? Do we need to be worried about the lawsuit, about this and all these other kind of things, AI, all that kind of garbage? No, we don't. So our industry with secret shop. Anybody ever done or seen a secret shopper before?
In one.
Yeah, so well, they went out and they secret shopped all of our websites and our open houses across the United States. They went to realtors, non-realtors, they went to brokerage websites, they went to agent websites, and they went to our open houses. How do you think that went, guys? Huh? How do you think that would go real good? 35% of requests were never responded to. A third of all requests never responded to. Half of the requests are never responded to by a human being. Like, those automated responses kind of thing made up another 15% roughly. Average time for us to respond as a human being, over 8 hours. Right? Are we really wanting business, or are we just expecting people to show up at our door and be like, here, take my money? It doesn't work that way. All right? At our open houses, this is at our open houses. This is not Zillow. These are not any big portals kind of thing. At our open houses, 42% of agents never ask the shopper for their contact information. Almost half. Never asked it. And 62% of people that attended open houses got 0 follow-up. We only followed up a third of the time to people coming to our open houses. All right? So want to improve your business by 62%? What do you think you got to do? Ta-da! Is this exciting? No, this is boring. This is mundane, but this is our business, folks. This is where we got to focus, right? We don't need to be all wrapped up in all this other stuff going on. So here's some news flash for you. If somebody calls you, you should call back. Thank you. And if somebody emails you, what should you do? Write them back and then build relationships. This is a relationship business. We are not the salesy people, right? We're not used car salesmen. This is about building relationships. So we got to stop looking for the easy button. Nobody out there is going to go take a class on, hey, when somebody emails you, email them back. That's not a class that we're all going to take. We're all looking for all these easy buttons and different things that we can buy and that kind of stuff. But the brilliance is in the mundane, right? Where's our attention need to be? Boring, mundane, repetitive tasks that we're moving into. This is what's important. This is where your focus needs to be. It doesn't need to be on NAR. It doesn't need to be on AI, all these other kind of things that are all taking up a lot of our energy, even the elections. Is that where, like, if you're working on business, is that where your attention really needs to be focusing on? Where does it need to be? Right. Back to the basics, the real work of real estate. Build relationships, engage with folks, right? We can't control lawsuits. We can't control our competitors, AI, interest rates. We can't control any of that. What can you control? Follow up, call people, do a really great job and build relationships. Is this exciting? No, but is this where the business really is? See, that's the real kicker here, right? I want you to understand that's where our business is. And that's my prayer for you, is that we focus on what's truly important right now. And so don't let all the noise, don't let all the everything going on around you. Now's a great time to be in our business. We have a lot of folks moving in that need to buy, want to buy. We have interest rates coming down, inventory moving up. Now is a great time. We have to just be really at the basic. That's what we need to do. By the way, I'll share any of these slides with you. So. All right, now, a couple of things moving forward. We're almost there. First thing, Tom Ferry Summit. It's coming up 27th, 28th, 29th. If you have not been, please come. It is a lot of fun. It is 3 days. Every day that you come, you're going to get 6 hours of CE credit each day. You're going to get breakfast and lunch and some sort of adult beverage every day as well. I mean, we're not going to get drunk, but you know what I'm saying? But we make the event. Yeah, Mark's gonna be our bartender. But we make the event just like if you went, like if you went to Dallas to this event, you'd go to this giant room and there'd be a big stage up there and everybody would be sitting in these little chairs kind of thing. And you have a workbook in your book. in your book, in your hand. Well, you're gonna get the same workbook. We're gonna have that live up here on the stage. And so when they all jump up and go, we're all gonna do that too. We're gonna make it just like we were there at the event. But you're not spending $800 on tickets, plus flying out there, plus airfare and meals and all that kind of stuff. Like when we go to conferences, it might cost us $4,000, $5,000 to go. This is not, I mean, not only are you not having to pay, we're buying breakfast and lunch for you every day. So please take it. This is great training. It is motivational, it's inspirational, and you will walk away. Every year I walk away with new ideas. We've done this for 8 or 9 years now at this point. Please don't miss out on this. Some of the offices are already selling out. So please go in and get set up for this because it does sell out every year.
Make sure you tell them to sign up for each day, not just the first day.
Yeah, each day is separately.
It is, I tried to.
Okay.
Which
Well,
Go back. Go back.
yeah, send an email to us if you need to, kind of thing, but yeah, please sign up for each day because each day is different. It's not like the same thing 3 days in a row. I mean, and I'll be sharing the itinerary of all the stuff that they're gonna be going over. You can just go to max1.rock/Tom Ferry just to sign up. That's where they're all at. Also, remember, our accountability is every Monday morning at 9:30. Please consider jumping in and doing that. I do the accountability every Monday morning at 9:30. I will put you on the spot, but I do it with love. And so if you want to grow your business, please consider joining us on that. You can go to max1rock/accountability and join us Mondays at 9:30. Now, I need to take it down a little bit. Because I do have something really important that I want to kind of talk to you guys about and wrap up with here. And so, it's Lady Britton. She was murdered. She's one of our agents. She's out of our airport office. And it was a murder-suicide. And we miss her greatly. Her funeral is actually this afternoon. And so, one, I wanted to let you know what's going on, but she was a victim of domestic violence. And I know that we all have a lot of things going on in life, and a lot of us have challenges at home in different ways or forms and that kind of stuff. Please protect yourselves. Know that I am here, the branch managers are here. We are here to help, but I won't know. And so you can call me, Ming, any of the branch managers, and seriously, like I don't want this to happen to anybody ever again. You can reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. They have several resources that you can do there. If you're having challenges in your home life, if you're having domestic issues, domestic violence issues, please reach out. I just want you to know you're not alone, and we love you and we care about you. And I don't ever want to have to go through this. I don't want anyone to have to go through this kind of thing. And so I know I can't control everything going on in the entire world. I just want you to know that you really are, you're loved and cared for. And I'll do anything in my power to help keep you safe. I can't change the world, but do know that you're not alone and we're here for you, kind of thing. You know, if you do so feel led, she leaves 3 children. We have a senior in high school, a 4th grader. We are making sure she has like 3 or 4 transactions, and we're gonna make sure they get all of that. But there is a GoFundMe set up if you'd like to help participate in that. Her funeral is this afternoon, and she is sorely missed. So, I know, and so it's really hard to be like, even if you just need to talk, just know that we're here for you, kind of thing. So, hard part is, you know, I do have to end up with our top producers for the month, which seems like a strange transition.
Will you send that GoFundMe out to everybody?
I'll be glad to send the GoFundMe out to everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So, but now we're going to go to just the local offices, and we're all going to jump in locally and do our own thing here at the local event. Congratulations to all our top producers. We're going to be talking about those in the individual offices, but I thank you. I appreciate you. And if you need me, please call, text, or smoke signals. So now we're going local.